So
She said,
funny.
instead of being a 3-hour difference, now I got a 4-hour.
They do not change up. That is correct.
Ready? Sonia? All set? Okay. You ready? All right, let me call to order the March 2024 Southbury Zoning Commission meeting. Let's all stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, there's no need to seat any alternates, everybody's here. New business application 24-041-Z, PDD number 17, 464-466 Heritage Road, Heritage Eagle LLC applicant, Pemiola Demirage, principal, applicant for modification of detailed plans, PDD number 7, seeking approval for fence installation and addition of planters. Site plans provided with the application. Discussion and decision. Would you like to come up and just give us?
Good evening. As we spoke on the previous
Can I have
meetings,
your name and address?
my name is Halim Demiraj. I'm also the owner of Heritage Eagle.
Thank you.
Our address is, business address 464 Heritage Road. We are planning on installing a fence in between the two parkings, and the only intention of doing that is just to be able to hang some flowers during the spring and summer season. And also, the shrubs that are planted there now, they are very much damaged from between the years, and they don't look good, so.
All right. Everybody has their package. They see what they want to do here. Since it's a PDD, we can make a decision whether it's a minor modification or a major modification. If it's major, we have to refer to planning. Any discussion on how we want to term this?
Minor, yeah.
Minor, fine. So, Jada, do you have anything to say about this?
I did do a site visit just to look at the area he was speaking of, and the only thing that I pointed out was the steepness of the top level parking and the lower level parking, and maybe setting erosion controls around the area to help with any type of soil erosion going down, and there's also a catch basin in the area, so that's the only thing that I saw.
Of course, on a day of installation, that of course will happen.
Yeah.
Prevent.
We spoke about it.
Okay, this does not have to go to wetlands, right? No. All right, so yeah, we will request some protections of the soil, the sedimentation from, especially during
Of course, we'll
construction,
put a fence.
before and
yeah,
after.
We'll put a fence before, and once everything is done, we'll remove it. Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
And hopefully, your plantings and everything else will come in quick and take care of
Let's
itself.
hope so. I just have one quick question. I know we said that it's about 48 inches high, the fence. If it's lower, definitely not higher, but if it's lower to 36, would it be a,
I think 36 is too low.
okay? So
I'm concerned
stick-
about
stick with the 40.
kids flipping over.
All right.
Maybe
so
42 as a minimum.
42 or 48, okay, that's fine, absolutely.
I mean, that's my feeling. I don't know about anybody else on the
Yeah.
commission.
Absolutely.
I mean,
No
36 is only this high. And you can get some younger kids climbing on it or flipping over, whatever. If it's 42 minimum, I think that'd be a better dimension.
No problem at all.
Any other questions of the applicant on what he plans to do? All right. Did we need a resolution for this?
I did draft a resolution. It was sent out, like, I think around 3 o'clock today to everyone.
Did you get one?
No.
So, the official resolution reader? All right. Would you please?
Can also make a motion that the height is expressly stated in the resolution.
Yeah, I'll add that in.
Yep.
Resolution PDD number 17, Heritage Center, modifications of detailed plans, installation of fence with planters in parking lot on March 13, 2024. Whereas on February 14, 2023, the zoning, is that true? They received an application in 2023?
That was
2024.
2024.
Should have been
It was
24,
this
sorry about
February, yes.
Yeah.
Whereas on February 14, 2024, the zoning commission received an application, excuse me, from Mola, I'm sorry, your last name, sir?
Demirage.
Demarash, thank you, for Heritage Eagle LLC owner, seeking to modify the detailed plans for PDD number 17 located at 466 Heritage Road. Whereas the applicant proposes the installation of a black fence with planters spanning 100 feet with a height of 4 feet. There, I will put in no less than 41
42 to
inches.
48, yeah,
42 inches.
absolutely.
42
We'll make
inches.
sure of that.
Thank you. To differentiate the upper and lower parking areas between buildings A and B. Whereas the applicant shall install proper erosion controls to migrate potential soil disturbance, particularly in the lower parking area where a nearby catch basin could be adversely impacted. Whereas the commission finds the proposed use of the indicated, as indicated by the applicant for the construction of a fence and planters in the parking lot area between buildings A and B. And as in keeping with the pertinent regulations for PDD number 17. Now therefore be it resolved that the Southbury Zoning Commission voted to approve the detailed plan modifications for PDD number 17 as more fully detailed in the application. Adapted regular meeting of the Southbury Zoning Commission on March 13, 2024, effective date April 4, 2024.
Okay, with those are changes that we made, any issue with the resolution? All right, do I hear a motion to approve the resolution? That's changed. Second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, next one. Application number 24-057Z, PDD number 19, 522 North Georges Hill Road, Southbury, Connecticut. Ms. Jill Sloan and Mr. Raj Bhatia. Applicant owner seeking approval for the construction of a 2,000 square foot garage.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello, Raj and Jill Bhatia, 522 and 506 North Georges Hill Road, Southbury Farms, and Southbury. Hi.
Hi. You did a well description last time. I don't know if anybody has any,
Aye.
there's no need to go through it again.
Okay, well, we made a decision to go with wood. I
Okay.
thought
Okay.
that would be interesting.
Oh, okay.
So it's a standard 2x6, and we put some potential siding and roofing pictures for the commission, and that's it.
Okay. And we'll now ask Jada, did you take a look at the PDD language?
Yes, so I was able to review that today. It looked like what they were requesting was in relation to the horse management plan that they have in the PDD regulations, so it seemed to fit with what already exists there and will enhance the manure waste management there.
Okay, there's no issues with adding another building or square footage of total building area?
In the PDD, I did not see that being an issue.
Jordan, do you know of anything that's in there?
So as far as overall square footage and bulk coverage, they're still under their
Under the
maximum.
maximum? Okay. The question now is, does this become, again, like the previous one, a minor modification or a major modification? And that has to do, maybe not with a public hearing, okay? But I think more so, this is a new building that they want to put on site. Should it go to planning for review? I think we should ask that question and make that determination here. A minor modification in the case of, like what we just heard, was a fence. Other minor modifications were, I can remember in Oldfield, had to do with adding storm doors to the front. Something like that is a minor. I don't know if this we could determine that maybe we should have planning take a look at this to get their blessing. I hate to put this off any further, but,
There's no rush.
okay.
We're fine.
I think we should send it off to planning. It will not need a public hearing, because you're still within the language and the gist of the first, or the whatever approved public hearing, PDD we have out there. But just to get some feedback from planning on the building, the placement of the building, and what it looks like. That's my
Am
opinion.
I correct that in the original PDD, the idea of a building being there was already in it? It just wasn't when it was going to happen? Am I reading that correctly, or is this a whole brand-new concept to put a building there?
I think that question is best asked to the applicant.
So the location where we're looking to do the building was originally approved for manure management,
Okay.
which would be an asphalt slab, the same size, and then dumpsters.
Right.
So it's not exactly the same. It's putting now a structure on top of
Okay.
that.
Then my recommendation would be to go to planning, just
Yeah.
for a review.
All right, so I recommend that we submit the application, the package to planning for review, and we'll get it back next month with their commentary, and we'll be able to act on it.
We're not going to be in next month, so we're actually out of the country on the next meeting. So that's just whatever you need to do for that.
Will you guys be around for the planning meeting next week, by chance?
Oh, it's next week, what day?
The planning meeting.
Oh, we'll be around for the planning meeting next week.
So I think any questions that come up during that meeting, you guys will answer.
Sure.
I think this commission has essentially asked you
Earth
pretty much
plans.
everything that
If we
they
get
need.
approval, yeah, if planning has no issues and you can answer other questions, I think we can act without you next month and approve it.
Great.
Okay, great.
I mean, I think be a good addition, but again, I'd rather hear from planning on this. That's my personal feeling, I don't know about everybody else, but.
Is planning on Tuesday? It's Tuesday night?
Tuesday.
Okay,
10 o'clock, same room.
great.
Okay, great.
Okay, all right,
you.
thank you.
Take care, everyone.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
I like easy.
All right, other business, file 23-ZC001, 455 Main Street North, PDD number 7, Tim Fianti petitioner. Tim Fanti, sorry. Tim. Petitioner, discussion regarding the amendment to PDD number 7 pertaining to privacy yard. There's been a lot of correspondence going back and forth. I guess the big issue right now is, nobody has any feedback, official feedback from the fire marshal. Right? And that was one of the bigger issues we had last month, was to, what is the status? We don't have a fire marshal right now?
It's actually a tough situation. We have a deputy fire marshal. Tim is staying on as our deputy fire marshal. I'm upstairs in the land use office. They're typically right across the hall from us. I haven't seen Tim since he resigned on Friday, and it's been pretty sparse as far as having any representatives from the fire side of things in the land use department, so we haven't really gotten clarity on how these things are being handled. We have commercial projects that are coming in that need fire review, and as of right now, it's not entirely clear how that's gonna be handled.
So he is continuing as a.
As a deputy, correct.
Deputy
Yep.
on a part-time basis
It appears so,
until the new fire marshal comes on board, then he's gone?
precisely.
All right. Yeah, that could be a problem.
It could be.
I mean, could you go to neighboring town and get their assistance? Not that I,
With respect to this in particular?
no, just
In general?
in general.
We have a couple of the deputy fire chiefs that were working under Tim already. They were stepping in. We'd see them on Fridays, every Friday. So it's my understanding that they'll be coming on in more of a, increased role as it pertains to inspections and things like this. I'm not sure when we're going to be able to get the answer related to this Oldfield discussion as it's pertained to the fire access issues. If I can remind the commission, at the last meeting, it was determined that the association should be the one corresponding with the fire marshal in determining how best to, increase the fire capability of that building and that development. And then subsequently, if any changes were necessary that would require the zoning commission's approval, they would come to you with that modification and for said approval. However, right now, it appears that this commission's still just trying to iron out the details of what was previously approved and how it may not have been carried over to today, and kind of how we can rectify the situation at this stance. The attorney and the representative for the association is not here today. As you got in all your correspondence, Mr. Fanti is here today, so how you guys would like to proceed with the discussion is completely up to you.
Personally,
Thanks, Jordan.
yeah, I think we should put it off to next month. Until they have representation here.
That, and I really do think we need to hear from a fire marshal or whoever the entity is
Correct.
that will represent
Right.
that, because to me, for
But it-
zoning, that's a piece. It's
Yeah,
more-
but even from the association's point of view, I don't think we should be doing any further discussion without having them present. It's not fair.
I will say that I have stressed, in not so uncertain terms, the need to have this rectified. Not a decision made, not you guys coming to a conclusion, but them having everything that they need and have said that they're going to report to this commission by the April meeting. It has been expressed to me that that will absolutely happen. We'll see what happens, and we'll see where it goes from there. But
Okay, I'll retract my statement before that I made about not having the association here to represent themselves and just Mr. Fanti. Mr. Fanti, have you seen the planting plans they put together?
No, I've seen nothing from them, absolutely nothing.
Oh, okay. I mean, there's no real planting plan. All they have is a schedule of plants that they want to put in.
I've seen no site plan, I've seen no narrative, I've seen no design, I've seen nothing.
Okay. They have reached out to their landscaper. They have a planting schedule. They have dollars put to it. It is around 5,000 like they expressed for last month. But until we see a planting plan and this correspondence from the fire marshal, I think we're dead in the water. And it's been expressed that they have to show up next month to get this finalized. So,
Can I make a comment in that context
yep,
without offending the process? Okay?
yeah, go ahead.
So, thank you again for letting me speak tonight. Recently, I've become concerned about the pattern of delays that we've been experiencing trying to resolve these matters. Yesterday, I learned that the association was granted a continuance, as in another continuance, until the April meeting to present its proposal for consideration. I did provide some written comments to the commission about my thoughts in more detail about that and that process. This is now the third time that the association has been granted a continuance since September. So we had from October to November, we had from January to February, and now we have from March to April. By the time we arrive in April at the meeting, these delays will account for almost 13 weeks, almost one half of the cumulative time between September 20th, when the original notice of potential zoning violation was issued. From my point of view, I've been working diligently to provide timely, complete, accurate, and meaningful information to the commission and to all parties, which means, in my context, sharing everything with the association. At this point, for me, it's not uncommon to begin to wonder, why the delays? Sorry. So I came here tonight eager to work towards finalizing the deliberations, but also to seek, some insights to accomplish the objective. I think you've just provided that last piece to the degree that Jordan is reiterating the importance of having a really meaningful discussion in April, and you basically say the same thing. And I would just hope that the process is as detailed as it needs to be to ensure that what's being put in place is going to accomplish the objectives desired, whether it's to regulate, safety and traffic flow vis-à-vis a fire lane or not, whether it's to remap the configuration of the parking area by reducing the number of spaces or changing the sizing and painting and signing, or planting the screens, which I think we have probably almost conclusively determined were never planted based upon the information that we've received from as many parties who were willing to give information, the most recent of which was the former president of the association, who indicates that he has no recollection of any discussions at the time, other than a discussion about the piece of the arborvitae row that was actually already put in place, but at the time, the commission determined that additional plantings were warranted. So, in my understanding, there was originally an expectation that, somebody would come and stake, that someone from either the zoning commission or from buildings would come out and determine the acceptability of what was considered, I do this all the time, considered to be appropriate, and then with the site plan available, a determination would be made, and then there would be an implementation. So if that's the process, I'm satisfied. I just hope that everything is for the purpose intended.
Okay. They were told to show up in April, and they'll have a planting plan. We need a description of the planting plan. I'm not a plantologist,
Right.
so I want to know what this plant's going to do. Granted, it's going to be a nursery-type shrub or whatever that comes in a certain size. It's not going to be fully grown. But I want to know, we have to know as a commission what the expectations are of these plants and how it's going to do what Mr. Fanti wants, or what the plans should show, what was approved.
My understanding in such circumstances, based on my review, is that typically, for a starter landscaping stream, there's an expectation of, I'll go loosely, something between 5 and 7 feet in height. I've read information that suggests that there be a staggering, planting so that you cover all the bases. I guess it depends on, the type of plant. You don't want something going too big because you don't need it up there. You need it down here somewhere. So yeah, there's a lot of details that I think should be articulated up front, because we now know all of the difficulties encountered when that information is not available with a final site plan,
Right.
with good recollections from the past. So why go through this again?
Yeah, their landscaper should be able to show up with pictures of what a mature plant looks like.
Right.
And basically, the size of the plant they're going to be putting in, and a time frame on how long it's going to take to get to a certain size and maybe maturity, and what that size is going to be. And again, you're right. When you do landscaping, they come small. And my wife's not on me for all this. You got to put them closely. No, they're going to grow. They're going to get bigger. You can't do that. I mean, hopefully their landscaper, he should understand that, and we want to make sure all that comes to us and explained to us.
And at this point, I really have no understanding as to whether or not the association acknowledges, I'm going to use the word, the legitimacy of the necessity to install landscape screening on the left side of the parking area, moving out on the access driveway, as well as on the other side, which immediately faces. So I bring all these details up because the words that I hear when I sit here is, we'll do whatever the association whatever the commission tells us. And the commission is asking someone to come forth with a proposal that would be satisfactory. So there are some competing demands there that sort of don't meet in the middle, unless someone encourages them to meet in the middle. My humble opinion.
All right. Any
Well-
questions?
comments.
Well, I guess my comment would be that, having done a fair share of landscaping at our own house, the landscaper should come and first of all give you an aesthetic answer to that. What would look ideally, where do you need them, and then what do you need? So I think I would start at least with the belief that if you've hired a competent landscape person, they're gonna answer those questions.
Yeah, no, I'm willing to go with the flow. I'm just, based on what I understand, I mean, I'm a pretty detail-oriented guy, so I think about this stuff. But I'm going with the flow. It's what was reasonably expected to be put in, what's useful for the purpose, does it meet its objective, and, let's move on. But, we've been here for a long time now.
Right. But I also have to believe that it's important that we hear from the fire marshal, because some of those
Absolutely.
issues may be answered. The fire marshal must say, you forget the shrubbery here because we've got to widen it to a certain side or something. I don't know that that's true.
No, I understand.
But really, it seems to me, step number one is, what is the fire marshal saying for safety purposes and regulations and so forth? What does it need to look like? And then a landscaper can say, based on that,
I agree.
we can design for you what's appropriate.
Don't forget that the fire marshal has commented officially on 2 occasions as to his observations based on the photographic documentation that I provided. It's not as if this is the new news, et cetera. The issue is that, up until recently, the last meeting, when you suggested that, well, you should contact them, et cetera, et cetera. And so, there's been an avoidance of the issue even when I asked about it prior to the last meeting. So, the devil is in the details, and this is a time to pay attention to the details.
Jordan, what's going to be the effect of our currently not having a full-time available fire marshal in terms of timing for this? And I realize you don't have a concrete answer, but what's your guesstimate?
So that was kind of my point before. The fire lane is an outsized issue to what we're speaking about here today. The fire lane was and is fully housed, and the regulations and changes and recommendations that can happen as a result of is completely within the fire marshal's jurisdiction. So during the original approval, the zoning commission isn't making recommendations on fire lanes to begin with.
Correct.
So in this case, you guys have every right to talk about planting, talk about parking, talk about circulation, talk about screening, talk about anything related to that. If we can't get substantive data from the fire marshal at the next meeting, then everything related to what Mr. Fanti brought to the fire marshal's attention sits on the back burner and is a fire marshal issue as it relates to this association, and will need to be handled in the future because the town of Southbury has been notified by one of its residents that they feel that there's an issue there. And whether or not the new fire marshal either agrees or thinks mitigation needs to be done or finds everything to be fine, it's to be determined, and that may come a month, 2 months, whenever we get the new fire marshal and he steps into the role and is able to get his feet under him. That's gonna be when we can really open this discussion. That may be after you guys have completed and, closed the book on this whole situation in front of you.
Is fire marshal by title the only person that can make this decision?
I'm not
Or can the
certain of that.
assistant or the deputy interim fire marshal do it?
I wouldn't know, but I could find out for you, Gary.
Okay.
Yep.
I would think they would.
Yeah. Right now, I'm trying to figure that information out myself because we have more than just this issue that needs to be addressed, and we need someone
Yeah.
in that role to really step up and make these decisions. But to
Okay.
what degree that
All right.
actually happens at this stage, I'm still not sure.
Now, when I communicated with him and when he then provided me, his written point of view, he actually did, even Hugh Sullivan thought he did, a thorough job, actually, in making his commentary. But he responded usually in the context of identifying himself, meaning the fire marshal has the authority, et cetera, not necessarily the office of the fire marshal or the fire marshal and/or its deputies. So, that's the context, the broadest context that I know, in which he presented his information on 2 occasions.
Right.
Gary, can I suggest to our commission that we give Jordan the opportunity, hello, over there, to see what the options are and report that back to us, because then it might put us in a better position to be more responsive to you. I appreciate your concern, but I don't know about the rest of you, but the whole fire marshal, to me, is the turning point for everything else. I mean, shrubs are nice, but at the end of the day,
Right.
you know.
Remember also that there is a very real constraint to the initial recommendation of the fire marshal was that based on the congestion, the photographic documentation of the congestion that he observed and his site visit, the issue became what to do about it. And the reality was that he then had me measure the width of the access driveway, which measured out at, let's call it 12 and a half feet, ranging from 11 to 13 something. And so he then made his determination that it really should be wider. Now, he made the determination that it should be wider because he observed and he gave very specific information about the size of a truck, the turning radius of a truck, et cetera, and how any obstacle would interfere with the ability of a truck to enter the property. Knowing the property and knowing the constraints on the incremental development of the property, I then said, well, realize this also, that the parking area and the access driveway was essentially carved out of my and my predecessor's privacy yard, which is a limited common element accessible only to me and/or, my guests. And it was originally transferred, the rights to it were transferred to the association via a general easement with the proviso that ultimately the association could elect to convert what was an easement on a piece of limited common element to return to a common element. And that's the path that was taken. But the carved out portion allowable for the construction of the parking area and the access driveway was very defined at the time, because it was encroaching on or taking a part of a limited common element. So anything that's on the periphery of the parking area or the access driveway on 3 of its 4 sides is basically my limited common element that can't be developed.
But that,
How long have you lived in that location?
15 years.
but all that was put together when your predecessor was owner.
Well, Maureen, exactly.
Right.
And the settlement agreement that gave rise to the easements, and then, the transition in through an amendment to the Declaration number 27 to actually carve out and recreate or create a common element. There's a school of thought. Maybe I shouldn't go any further. Am I going too far in discussion without? Let's stop. I don't want to.
I think you should stop.
Yeah, right. We've sort of covered the major bases.
Let's,
Oh, wait.
I mean, the association's on notice, they have to get this in for May, the April meeting. Okay,
I conveyed that to the association's attorney, yes.
all right. I mean,
That's good.
that's what we're gonna do right now.
Well, thank you again for allowing me to come and visit and
Well,
update.
hopefully, you won't have to make it too many more times.
I'm getting more comfortable at it.
All right, moving on, zoning enforcement officers report.
I have nothing new besides the 2 applications that came up.
Okay. That's it? Any?
Yes, there are, see, I didn't know that was something I would do in the report. But there are violations that I'm working on getting resolved. Right now, I have a long list of different violations that I'm working on sending notices out to, but a lot of them recently have been over drainage issues, which Jordan and I have found out that it's, the town council is supposed to be taking on those drainage issues. There's also 71 Kiev Drive with a bunch of violations on, with structures that are out of the setbacks. There's also, seems to be an accessory dwelling unit on the town right-of-way. And we've been trying to get them in compliance, and we haven't really heard back. We've sent a notice to them, I believe, a few months back, haven't heard anything, so we're sending a second one, and after that, we're talking with the council to start citation process. Those are
Okay.
the big ones.
You're busy.
Yes.
Okay. Special meeting minutes approval for February 15th, the regular zoning commission meeting. Any issues with the minutes?
I read them quickly before I came here. I didn't see any issues, but if someone else did, I'll certainly acquiesce.
I don't see any either.
I didn't see any.
Other than spelling, which I can't find. They wrote okay. All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
All right. Any bills? No.
Yes.
Yeah?
We have $605 from the last month received, and then that's no expense.
You mean we got money back?
Yeah, I mean, from applications and things like that.
Oh, we
so-
made
We
$605.
made $600, yes. Money received.
We don't
is
spend any money, do we?
Yeah.
Maybe we could put that toward the fire marshal.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? Anything you want?
I never made any report back to you about the Affordable Housing Committee, but we've been going on and on now for 18 months. And if anyone else was interested in doing that,
What do you think?
fine.
I have a question about Mr. Fanti. Is there anything we can really do to make the association? Isn't there any statute of limitations or?
The statute of limitations, to my knowledge, I wouldn't be privy to that, unfortunately. However, you guys did approve something with the expectation that it would need to be conducted. And that's kind of the odd position we find ourselves in, because our standard procedure is something gets approved, it's monitored, it gets completed, it's followed up on, it's reported on, it's issued a certificate. This one seems to have fallen through the cracks and subsequently really came back to bite us, so.
And we just don't have documentation to go back to refer to, is that what I
It's
understand?
practically the one amendment that was done that just doesn't provide enough detailed information. There wasn't a detailed plan filed for the completion of this work. And Mark Cody, the zoning enforcement officer at the time, had issued CZC's, Certificate of Zoning Compliances, for every single one of the units. However, when this parking lot change happened, it didn't really fall under the need for a CZC. It's not really a structure, it's more of landscaping and a parking lot, and as a result, we kind of find ourselves where we are today.
So I think as it stands, the association is willing to spend $5,000 plus or minus to fix the problem.
For the,
Let's
That's
try to
gonna
make
be
it work and go
shrubbery.
away.
that's gonna be for the shrubbery, but if he needs to widen his driveway or something, that's
my
where it's gonna
concern.
get.
Well, the driveway, he said, was 11 to 12 feet in width, depending where you measure it. I think the fire code calls for a 20-foot driveway, but the fire marshal is allowed to relax that number if he feels fit. 12-foot wide, if there's no cars parked, is wide enough for a fire truck. I mean,
I don't know, it just seems funny, he's been there 15 years and all of a sudden this is,
This is a problem.
It seems like we're just doing his dirty work for him, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm saying,
We should, I think we're still on the record.
yeah, okay. All right.
All right.
Till next month.
Yep.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn then?
I move that we adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You turn this off, Sonnet? Oh, well, then